and boundaries and emotions respected. I don't think that's being a victim. I don't know if that's how I really do wonder if is his ego.
In a shocking turn that no one saw coming, the Sister Wives universe was rocked to its very foundation when Robyn Brown, long accused of being the architect of the family's unraveling, and Kody's most loyal companion, was hospitalized after collapsing suddenly from what appeared to be a terrifying undiagnosed illness, leaving fans reeling. Insiders whispering, and the entire Brown family fractured under the weight of betrayal, confusion, and public fury. But while Robyn's illness should have been the emotional center of this family tragedy, what truly sent shockwaves across social media, TLC forums, and fan podcasts was not just her fainting spell or her whispered pleas in the hospital for help. Was Kody Brown's cold, calculated, and utterly disorienting response, instead of staying by his wife's side, comforting her through what she described in her own panicked words as not wanting to die. Kody wandered off, not in grief, not in solemn contemplation, but in pursuit of what he called a father-daughter night with none other than Aurora, Robyn's daughter from a previous marriage, who, to many fans, has long represented Kody's odd fixation, favoritism, and retreat from reality. The moment played out in real time, like a scene from a scripted drama. Robyn, weak and sobbing, asking nurses why her husband wasn't there. Whispering that she didn't want to be alone, that something felt wrong in her body, and that the silence from Kody felt more painful than the illness coursing through her while just miles away. Kody and Aurora sat in a diner, casually eating burgers and sipping milkshakes, snapping selfies, laughing with zero concern. As Aurora posted a smiling Instagram story titled Dad-Daughter Night, as if nothing at all was unfolding back in that hospital bed where Robyn was clinging to hope and calling out for her husband. Witnesses inside the hospital described an eerie, disorienting calm, the kind that falls over rooms where someone expected to be supported suddenly realizes they are utterly, irrevocably alone. Robyn reportedly asked multiple times, has he texted? Is he coming back? And when a nurse gently told her that Kody had left hours ago and no message had been received, Robyn broke down in front of the staff, whispering, maybe I don't matter to him the way I thought I did. And it was in that moment that something shifted, not just in Robyn's heart, but in the narrative fans thought they understood. Because for years, Robyn was the fortress Kody leaned on, the last wife standing, the woman he defended publicly, emotionally, financially, and spiritually, even as his relationships with Mary, Janelle, and Christine crumbled under the weight of favoritism, manipulation, and betrayal. She was the one who stood beside him when the public turned, when his children distanced themselves, and when his empire began to rot from the inside. And yet now, in her moment of desperate need, when death felt near and the only comfort she sought was a hand to hold, Kody left with a smile, left with Aurora. Left without looking back, and that departure did not go unnoticed. Not by the staff, not by the ex-wives, and certainly not by the millions of viewers who had already started questioning Kody's emotional availability, self-centered behavior, and his deeply unsettling dynamic with Robyn's children. The backlash was instant, volcanic, and damning. Fans flooded Instagram and Reddit, posting scathing messages. She stood by him when no one else wouldn't. He left her for milkshakes. And Aurora is not your wife. Go back to the woman who actually stayed. Others brought receipts, posting screenshots of past interviews. Old clips where Kody promised he would always protect Robyn and her children, contrasting them against this grotesque abandonment. But even more surprising was the quiet but powerful reaction from the women Kody had emotionally discarded. Janelle, who has long remained poised but firm, called the hospital directly to inquire about Robyn and sent flowers with a handwritten note showing grace that fans described as pure class. Mary, who had walked away from her marriage with Kody feeling broken and erased, posted a subtle yet brutal Instagram message that read, "The measure of a man is how he shows up when someone needs him most," a sentence that needed no tags, no names. What? and yet sliced through the internet with surgical precision. Even Christine, who had been rebuilding her life with new husband David Woolley, reveling in a love that was free from secrecy and shame, was reportedly ready to fly out to sit by Robyn's bedside. And though Robyn declined the offer, perhaps too overwhelmed or humiliated to face the woman she once competed against, it signaled something tectonic. The OG3 had more compassion for Robyn in that moment than the man she fought to keep. And that's where the story took an even darker turn, because this wasn't the first time Kody had placed Aurora's emotional needs above those of his wives or even his biological children. Longtime viewers of Sister Wives have long noted the peculiar closeness between Kody and Aurora. She has been fiercely loyal to him, almost deferential, never questioning, never challenging, a stark contrast to children like Garrison or Gabriel, who dared to hold Kody accountable and were met with coldness or silence. Insiders claim that Kody sees Aurora as his only remaining safe space, someone who doesn't confront his behavior, who reflects back to him a version of himself that he desperately wants to believe in. And so, in his twisted psychology, spending time with Aurora wasn't a betrayal, it was a refuge. But to the outside world, to Robyn, to her family, it was an act of unthinkable emotional abandonment. And as more details emerged, the betrayal only deepened. Multiple witnesses confirmed Kody didn't just spend that one evening with Aurora, he spent the night at her apartment, returning home the following day with coffee, but not for Robyn. Fans began speculating about emotional enmeshment, about Kody using Aurora as a stand-in for the emotional intimacy he refuses to cultivate with women who have opinions, needs, or heartbreaks of their own. Theories spun out like wildfire. Was Kody punishing Robyn for getting sick? Was he terrified of illness, as some past episodes hinted? Or had his loyalty always been to the control he had over Robyn, not to Robyn herself? Regardless of the theory, one truth became undeniable: Robyn was hurt, publicly, and possibly permanently. One family friend described Robyn as hollow-eyed. Upon learning the full scope of Kody's outing, she was not just ill physically, she felt humiliated emotionally. She reportedly told a friend through tears, "I always believed I was the one person he wouldn't abandon." And perhaps that was her greatest heartbreak of all, that after years of defending him, justifying him, alienating others for him, she found herself alone, alone in a hospital bed, alone in her grief, alone in the truth that maybe Kody Brown was never really there for anyone but himself. And now, in this moment, with the public turning on him, his children still estranged, and his only remaining wife emotionally wounded beyond measure, fans are asking, is this the beginning of the end for Kody and Robyn? Or has that end already quietly arrived, slipped through the cracks while Kody sipped milkshakes and smiled for selfies? The man who once proudly declared himself the spiritual head of a plural family is now a ghost to those who once loved him. And as Robyn faces not just a health crisis, but a marriage on life support, the question is no longer just about illness, it's about awakening. Will she rise from that hospital bed and choose herself for the first time in years? Or will she continue to cling to a man who has already let go? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: after this week, nothing will ever be the same again.
So this is the first time I'm seeing it. I haven't seen it before, and it's massive and really beautiful.
In the quiet aftermath of chaos, Robyn Brown found herself grappling with a personal storm that no one, not even the cameras, could fully capture. Her public image, meticulously curated through years of appearances on Sister Wives, began to fracture as whispers emerged that something was seriously wrong. Insiders close to the Brown family claim that Robyn had been experiencing an intense emotional and physical decline. Her health was failing, not dramatically, not in some explosive, camera-ready collapse, but in the slow, invisible way grief and stress chip away at the soul. Following the family's public implosion, and with Garrison's funeral casting a long shadow across their collective grief, Robyn's sudden withdrawal wasn't just about mourning. It was the first sign that something much deeper was unraveling. Doctors were allegedly brought in discreetly. There were late-night visits to clinics. Security reportedly stationed outside private wellness centers. And murmurs that Robyn had been placed under medical observation. Rumors swirled. A breakdown, anxiety disorder, even early-stage cardiac concerns. And while TLC remained eerily silent, fans took to Reddit and TikTok with theories ranging from psychological collapse to a cover-up meant to protect Robyn's image. But behind the veil of speculation, one thing was becoming clear: Robyn Brown was not well. Kody Brown, however, seemed detached. Not in the way of a husband, overwhelmed by fear or heartbreak, but in the cold, performative way of a man. Still chasing optics, while Robyn retreated, Kody appeared in public with forced bravado, making bizarre statements about family unity and healing while avoiding any mention of Robyn's condition. One on-set source claimed Kody was angry, not concerned, over the timing of Robyn's health struggles, allegedly saying during a private production meeting, "She always shuts down when it gets hard. I can't carry this alone." But what he couldn't carry was the weight of his own choices. Because as Robyn's crisis unfolded, so did another scandal, one involving money. Allegations emerged that during Robyn's withdrawal, Kody made financial decisions without her consent. These weren't minor transactions. We're talking real estate maneuvers, alleged bank account access, and whispers of power of attorney forms that may have been signed under questionable emotional conditions. Legal insiders hinted that documents had been filed listing Kody as having temporary financial control over Robyn's assets, allegedly citing her unavailability and medical status. Mary and Janelle weren't silent observers either. Shocking twist. Mary reportedly confronted a TLC producer off camera, demanding to know why Robyn's condition was being kept secret while the other wives had to live through their breakdowns on national television. "Why is Robyn allowed privacy when we were stripped of ours?" she allegedly asked. Janelle, more strategic and patient, began gathering documents of her own emails, property filings, even screen grabs of banking app activity that raised red flags. Word spread quickly that a legal team had been consulted and that a quiet investigation into financial misconduct was now underway. Then came the leak. A single PDF file began circulating among fan blogs and forums. Blurry screenshot of what appeared to be a notarized transfer document. The name Aurora Brown. The property, a newly purchased house in Flagstaff. Titled in Aurora's name with a suspicious trail of wiring back to accounts associated with Robyn and Kody. It set off a storm online. Fans accused Kody of using Robyn's daughter as a shield in a financial shell game. Some argued Robyn was in on it. Others believed she was too ill to understand what was being done in her name. Meanwhile, on social media, Robyn's presence completely vanished. No birthday posts, no promotional reels, not even a cryptic quote or a blurry filtered selfie. TLC released a generic statement saying Robyn was taking time to focus on family. But eagle-eyed followers noted that her absence coincided with filming for the next season. And with legal notices quietly filed in Arizona family court. Allegedly, one of those documents included a restraining clause preventing Robyn from liquidating any shared marital property until her medical status was reassessed. What followed next was nothing short of a media frenzy. Hashtags like #Where is Robyn?, #Robyn Health Crisis, and #KODY Scandal trended on multiple platforms. Former cast members, even estranged ones, started dropping cryptic messages. Christine posted a photo of herself in deep thought with the caption, "Some truths bury themselves, till they don't." Leon shared a link to a TED Talk on financial manipulation. Janelle simply tweeted, "Wolves eventually eat themselves." The crescendo built until TLC could no longer ignore it. In an unprecedented move, they announced a special bonus episode, Sister Wives, the Robyn chapter. But instead of answering questions, the episode created more. Robyn appeared only in pre-recorded segments, clearly older footage spliced together to appear recent. The lighting didn't match. Her hair and wardrobe were from earlier seasons. And most damning, the footage was riddled with cuts, awkward transitions, and a suspiciously overproduced narrator voice filling in the blanks. Fans weren't buying it. 1 week later, a whistleblower claiming to be a former TLC editor came forward anonymously, stating that Robyn had not filmed anything new in months. He claimed the footage was recycled, that producers were instructed to stitch together old scenes to give the illusion of Robyn's continued presence. "We were told to fake normalcy," the source said. But Robyn hasn't spoken on record in over 90 days. Not to us, not to anyone. Now, the legal situation is intensifying. Sources say that Robyn's family has been looped in, sisters, cousins, even distant relatives stepping in to question how much control Kody really has. One insider close to the Brown family alleges that Robyn's older sister hired an independent medical evaluator after being denied access to Robyn's private clinic. Another insider claims a private investigator has been hired to track property acquisitions in the Flagstaff area. And then there's the wildcard Meri. In recent live streams and social posts, Meri has shifted her tone entirely. Gone is the passive, emotionally bruised version of herself. Instead, she speaks in clear, firm language about betrayal, exposure, and justice. In one eyebrow-raising moment during a book signing Q&A, she said, "Sometimes people get sick. And sometimes people are made sick by the people they trusted most." The crowd went silent. With all eyes now on Kody, his every move is under scrutiny. And as for Robyn, she remains unseen, her condition a mystery. Her silence a thunderclap across the Sister Wives fandom. But the cracks are showing. The carefully built façade is collapsing, and the truth, however fragmented, is seeping through. Whether this ends in a public reckoning or a private legal battle, one thing is clear: the era of silence is over. And for viewers of StarSpill USA, this is just the beginning. Stay tuned, because the real story, the one TLC never wanted you to see, is finally coming to light.
What about us? What about you living on the property? What about you and me?
I don't think we even exist in the same universe anymore.
In the dimming light of reality TV fame, as the glitz fades and the truth begins to glare through the cracks, the Brown family's carefully maintained image of unity is crumbling. And nowhere is this unraveling more potent than in the silent, seismic shifts that Meri and Janelle have endured. For years, they stayed, they sacrificed, and they believed, but no more. It began quietly, as these things often do, with a feeling and instinct that something was deeply wrong. Meri, long silenced beneath the role she had played as the loyal, hardworking, sidelined wife, finally lifted her head. She had given decades to the family. And when she began to take stock, she saw not gratitude or partnership, but depletion. Emotional, financial, spiritual, all of it. Insiders claim that Meri had been the first to realize the full cost of her investment. She'd contributed to the family bank accounts, offered her income, her savings, her retirement, all under the guise of shared living and family needs. But those needs, she discovered, were lopsided. Janelle, too, was waking up, known as the steady, practical one. Even she had fallen for the vision. Kody Brown sold them all, a family built on trust, shared sacrifice, and a future that belonged to them all. What they didn't expect was that their futures had been diverted, funneled into something that served only one man and one wife. Sources close to production leaked early details that shook the foundation of what viewers had believed. Meri and Janelle, upon comparing financial records, discovered that large portions of their personal funds, profits from their side businesses, book deals, and even individual savings had allegedly been rerouted into Kody's private accounts. Even worse, some of that money had reportedly ended up securing Robyn's lifestyle. We're talking about Robyn's sprawling home, upscale furnishings, even debt repayments. All allegedly covered by Meri and Janelle's names and resources. And then came the most damning revelation that Kody had reportedly persuaded them to borrow money and open lines of credit for what he called family purposes, only for those debts to be linked to Robyn's acquisitions. The Coyote Pass property, once hailed as the great unifying project for the Browns, now appears as a monument to mismanagement and mistrust. Each wife was promised her own home on that land, a legacy for their children and grandchildren. But while funds were poured in, construction never began. Instead, money earmarked for homes seemed to evaporate. According to an anonymous production insider, Kody even asked Janelle to liquidate a portion of her retirement fund for a so-called family emergency. That emergency, Janelle reportedly learned later, may have been the mortgage balance on Robyn's home. In scenes teased for the next explosive season of Sister Wives, Janelle is reportedly filmed breaking down on camera. "I worked my entire life," she says through tears. "I created a future. I trusted him to protect it, and instead, he spent it. He exploited me." Mary, in a separate scene, is also seen emotionally shattered. "I gave him everything even when he didn't love me, even when he disrespected me. I still stayed because I believed in this family. But he just took and took." Viewers of StarSpill USA will remember that for years. Fans questioned the imbalance, the emotional disparity between Kody's relationships, but few suspected the financial implications. Why now? Why speak out after so long? Insiders say it took years to gather documentation and even more to summon the courage. For decades, Kody maintained a grip through fear, guilt, and a twisted sense of loyalty. He made you feel like speaking your truth was a betrayal of the family, one family friend explained. But Mary and Janelle finally understood. Truth isn't betrayal, it's survival. Perhaps the final straw was a shocking suggestion from Kody and Robyn that the remaining parcels of land on Coyote Pass be consolidated under Robyn's name to simplify legal matters. That move, insiders claim, cemented Mary and Janelle's decision to go public. They approached TLC with receipts, literal ones, financial records, text messages, and even bank screenshots. At first, the network hesitated, nervous about legal repercussions. But once Mary and Janelle signed off on disclosures, producers greenlit what they now call the most emotionally charged season in the show's history. Kody, for his part, has denied everything. In leaked footage from his interviews, he allegedly flies into rages, shouting they agreed. They knew. We were a family. He accuses them of betrayal, of turning on him after benefiting from the family system. He even blames Christine for influencing them, claiming she has been manipulating the narrative since she left. But the public isn't buying it. Fans have rallied behind Janelle and Mary, praising their courage. Social media posts read like a collective vindication. "We knew this all along. Robyn was always the favorite. They were used and discarded." And then there's the looming question, could legal action follow? The allegations? Hold up that money was borrowed or spent without informed consent, Kody could face civil lawsuits. Maybe more. But beyond the legal stakes lies something even deeper, the emotional toll. Janelle Long the Rock reportedly admits on camera that she feels broken. "I thought I was building something," she says. "I was just fueling his ego." Mary echoes that sentiment. "I thought if I worked hard enough, he'd love me again. But to him, I wasn't a wife. I was a wallet." Robyn's response: so far, silence. Insiders say she denies knowledge of the financial details, claiming Kody handled everything. On set, she allegedly said, "If Kody gave me something, I thought it was his to give." But Janelle isn't having it. You don't live in a $1 million house, wearing designer bags and driving a new SUV every year without knowing where the money comes from, she reportedly says. She knew. What happens next could redefine the Brown family forever. TLC has hinted that future seasons may pivot, possibly focusing on the ex-wives and their journeys post-Kody. Christine, now remarried and thriving, is allegedly supporting Mary and Janelle every step of the way. "You don't owe him your silence," she told them, and they listened. The narrative is changing. From loyal wives to survivors. From silence to truth tellers. And StarSpill USA will be here to document every explosive chapter. As one producer said, this isn't just a show anymore. It's a reckoning. The Browns once claimed theirs was a kingdom of love and unity. But now, as Mary puts it in her final confession, we stayed silent because we believed in him. Now we believe in ourselves. Whatever comes next, courtroom battles, financial restitution, or simply personal closure, one thing is certain. The silence that once bound them is broken. And for viewers of StarSpill USA, the real story is only just beginning.